it's Coach Tori, and this is Raising Runners. We will be talking about running, mental health, youth sport burnout, specialization in sports, motivation, encouragement, coaching, parenting, sleep, nutrition, really anything that you can think of that we as parents or coaches or just runners can do to help our young athletes. Today, I get to talk to Jane from Unselfishly Me. She was so kind to give us some time. She is all the way over in South Africa somewhere. We actually didn't get too into all of those details, but today she gets to talk to us about mindfulness, mindset coaching. She talks about the yoga practice that she has, gave us some great affirmations for kids. She also told us about grounding exercises, lots of really great tips there for us in terms of our mindset. You will probably hear that we are recording, well, she was recording from her awesome podcast studio, because she will mention her podcast as well, and that will be linked in the show notes also. But you will hear that I was recording outside in my backyard. So she was flexible enough to work around all of my different circumstances for the day. So I'm outside, and you'll hear my son probably talking a little bit during the recording as well. But it was such a great conversation, so definitely worth a little bit of the distraction. So hopefully you learned something. So I guess if you just want to start by, usually I have people who are runners, I have them talk about running a whole bunch before we get into other stuff. But if you just want to start by kind of just introducing yourself, anything that you feel is kind of relevant to how you got to where you are now with your business.
Perfect. Okay, hi, my name is Jane. I am all the way in South Africa. So for those who don't know, this is the South African accent. I'm not Australian, but I am a personal trainer of 14 years, and I studied sports science, and I did my exercise science honors. So you could say that I know a little bit about running and exercise and all that. But besides that, over the last 5 years, I have created a self-love brand called Unselfishly Me, and I have focused on women, but even as a trainer, I've always focused on women and kids, which has always been like my favorite. And from there, I started the self-love brand. And through that, I actually decided to do a kids yoga certificates. I was teaching kids yoga as well before the pandemic, as most people will say before. And then I haven't for a while, but I'm still very passionate about children and self-love and teaching self-love from a young age. I think it is so important, especially before the age of 7 even. So I have a 3-year-old, she's just turned 3, and I just plow her full of affirmations every day, and I'm trying to do it from a young age. So I always recommend doing it from a young age and to instill mindfulness in kids as well. So through my self-love brand, I have created women's products like affirmation cards. And then from there, I actually created kids cards, lunchbox love notes, those kind of things. Because I think it is so important to start this foundation of self-love, especially with all the bullying going on, with all the social media. I'm really glad I personally am not this age growing up in social media, but unfortunately then we also have kids at this age that we have to navigate through all of this in a secondary way anyway. So for me, it is about equipping kids with mindfulness, being able to know exactly who they are, live their truth, speak their mind, set boundaries, and look after their mental health. So that is a focus of mine as well. So even though I focus on women with my retreats and all my self-love information and courses, I am also moving more into the kids space. So something I'm really passionate about. I'm trying to get it into schools here and create programs that will actually help kids navigate these trying times, even from the age of 3. So it is so important. And I think it also will resonate with the kids that are listening to this podcast, or the parents, with running and visualizing exactly how you want your run to go. Like I did sports psychology. I know how important it is, how strong your mind is. Your mind is so powerful. Your mind only believes what you think. So if you keep saying something negative about the run you're going to have, or the event you're going to do, or about your body, or I'm going to get injured, well, you're going to get injured. Your mind is so powerful, and it only believes what you say. So you need to start speaking kindly to your body. You need to start visualizing exactly how you want that race to go, how your warm up you want it to go. Even research has shown with sports psychology and your mind, all the top athletes, they literally sit there with their eyes closed and visualize every single aspect, from the change room, where they're going to put their bag down, how they're going to change, how they're going to walk out when they walk out onto the pitch, the field, the track, whatever they're doing, visualizing exactly how it's going to go. Your mind is that powerful, and all the top athletes, that's what they do, is they do sports psychology, they do visualization. So if we can start applying that to children, and from a young age, within themselves and their mental health, how they want their day to go, how they want to feel about themselves, and then you move into the athletic aspect, it really is important to be able to help them to navigate not only themselves, but the environment around them and everything that they are being shown, told, taught, and they're able to know exactly who they are within themselves, stay grounded, stay strong, and to move forward in athletics or whatever they're doing in the sport, but just also in themselves, in the academics as well. So I think that self-love is underrated and mindfulness is underrated, and everyone's always focusing on the physical and your muscles and this and that, whereas I think the mind is the most underrated part of your body, your mind, your spirit, and also about someone's journey, whether it's a journey to wellness just for yourself or whether it is an athletic journey. I think that the mind needs to be brought through into it a lot more as well.
Wow, I feel like you answered every question that I was thinking I was going to ask you already. So that is perfect. But I wanted to start because you said that you do affirmations with your daughter, who's is your daughter, right? She's pretty
Yeah.
young. Um, so my son's not quite, he's not quite two, but I feel like I can't even find time to brush his teeth some days. So like, how do you make that a routine with her? Because obviously she's not just like, hey mom, we need to, well, maybe she is, hey mom, we need to do my affirmations now, but how do you make that a routine for her? And then what kinds of things do you guys say together, I guess, as affirmations at that age?
So I'll just bring it in like randomly throughout the day. She goes to play school now 3 days a week. So often I'll ask how her day has been, what they've learned, or like if she brings a picture home, I'll say something about that. But even if she does something, I'll be like, wow, you're really strong. And then I'll say, I'm strong. Say, I'm strong. I'm strong. And then something I started with, some people think I'm crazy, but I started with, as soon as she could walk, um, I would, every outfit she would have, we've got these 3 beautiful mirrors that were actually like, like almost like a concertina kind of thing, shutters that we took apart and put as mirrors on our wall in our entrance. And since she could walk, every time she puts a little outfit on, especially if it's a really cute one and we were going out, I'd be like, oh my, you look amazing. You look beautiful. Go look in the mirror. And then so she would go to the mirror and walk to the mirror and she'll stand there and kind of twirl and look at herself. And so like I keep reinforcing like, you need to look in the mirror and you need to feel beautiful and you need to tell yourself that you look beautiful. So she does that all the time now. And then as soon as she gets an outfit, she'll run to the mirror and be like, I'm going to go look in the mirror. I'm like, okay. And then she'll have a tutor. She'll be like, I look beautiful. I'm like, yes, you really do. So also just letting her lead me throughout the day and allowing her to lead the conversation. And then I'll bring it up in certain ways. Like I talk about her being strong physically and I'll be like, wow, you've got really nice muscles. Like your legs are really strong. And I'll say like me. And I'll be like, you got really strong legs like mommy. And things like that. And then I teach yoga for adults now, actually qualified last year. So she's always asking me to do yoga with her. She calls it yo-yo. Can we do yo-yo? And she'll unroll mats and we'll go and do it. And so just randomly doing things like that. So I always bring that in as well. And then also, so yeah, like I'm strong, I'm brave. Like if she's doing something and if she doesn't want to do something, I'll be like, yeah, but you're being really brave. Oh, you did that. You were really brave today. Just bringing in things every day. I'm strong, I'm brave, today is a good day, like just repeating those kind of things to them, even when they're having a hard day, like saying it's okay to have a hard day, like we learn from the hard days. And then also with the yoga as well, teaching her how to breathe. So she'll sit there and I'll be like, okay, close your eyes, breathe. And if she gets upset, I'm like, okay, I don't be like, calm down, like we all do. I mean, it's easy to say that in the moment, but I've started to try and just be like, okay, let's just breathe, take a deep breath in and out. And then she like copies me and does it. And I'm like, okay, let's just breathe and then we'll work this out. So bringing a little bit of mindfulness into her day when things are happening around her and to her. So that's really powerful, as well as teaching them how to breathe and regulate themselves, because they don't know, especially at that age. And that goes to any age, could be a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, teaching them how to breathe. It's so easy to actually get really irritated and for them to scream and not know what to say. But if you just tell them to ground themselves and breathe, it really helps.
Yeah, and it sounds like you do a lot of like leading by example or really just modeling for her. So especially at that age, they want to do everything that mom's doing, right? So if you're doing yoga, she wants to do yoga. If you're saying nice things to yourself in the mirror, she's going to say those things. So yeah, that is so great, and like I think underrated, and how easy it can be if we're doing things that we want them to do, like they're going to latch on to that. You had said that you have like the affirmation cards and you do kids cards. What kind of things, I know you kind of gave examples like I am strong, I am brave, but what kind of things are on those cards?
So there's a whole bunch. I'm brave, I'm strong, I'm creative, I'm a great listener. Um, mistakes help me learn. I think that's a really important one. I'm enough. What else is there? I'm safe. So all these things, if you think, I don't know if you're into chakras, but all these kind of things that are leading you, like being creative, being safe, feel, oh, I'm loved. My mind is powerful. Oh, my voice is my power. I think that's such a beautiful one, like teaching them to speak up for themselves. I'm smart. So just like all the general ones, but it really helps to, also it helps to have cute characters on them, because then they actually want to look at them. So it's just reinforcing all those things that you want them to feel.
Yeah, and this may be a harder question to answer, or it may be so simple, I'm not even sure. But I mean, you had mentioned like with social media and bullying and just like how complicated and hard the world can be. How can, of course, now I have a sad one over here. How can, mindfulness and those things really help us overcome those external things? Because sometimes that can just feel so big.
So personally, as a parent, as an adult, as a young adult, curating who you follow. So curating what you are bringing into your life. So if you're following someone and you start eye rolling because you just like, even if it's a friend and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing that again, or they don't make you feel good about yourself. If it's a friend or family member and you cannot unfollow them because there will be trouble, just mute them. You can mute your stuff so that you're still following them, but you don't see their posts, you don't see their stories, so they can't trigger you. If it is someone who's triggering you, like a celebrity or someone who's making you feel bad about your body or your mind, unfollow. Curate what you see. Also be careful of the post that you like, even in the discovery one, because it's going to start bringing you more of the posts that you click on. So I've stopped doing that. I'm like, oh, don't click on it. Don't click like. It's going to feed me more of that. And then start following like mindfulness posts that make you feel good, posts that are going to make you feel lighter. If something makes you feel heavier, it's not for you. If something makes you feel lighter and more expansive, then that is what you need to go towards the light. Follow things that make you feel light. And the world is already so complicated and heavy. Do you really want to add more heaviness to your day? Like it's not ideal. So doing that, also like meditation is so powerful. The app that I love is called Insight Timer. And they, even for parents listening, they have a parent section for kids. So even for littlies like ours, there are little stories, so bedtime stories that are actually meditations, which the kids won't know it's meditations. I mean, you can do there's longer stories. So there's like for 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, up to 10, 12, 13. There's so many different things on there, like stories. And bedtime stories that are actually meditations that will help to ground them and make them feel, quiet and calm, and help them sleep as well. So the ones from 1 minute up to like, I think, an hour. So it's a really nice resource to use to get them into meditation and to allow them to feel like they are grounded and more calm as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And that sounds like a great resource too. So you've mentioned grounding a couple of times. Can you just explain that just for people who don't know what that means? And then I know you've given a couple examples of how you can help kids ground themselves or how you can ground yourself, but can you kind of go through all of that for us?
Yeah, sure. So grounding is essentially bringing yourself back to calmness, and how we can do that physically is connecting back to the earth. So everyone knows about like the electromagnetic waves that are going through us all the time, like our phones and everything around us. but the earth is really powerful to be able to bring us back to ourselves. So the first thing to do, which kids do all the time, is shoes off, feet in the ground, so feet in the grass. If they are a little bit older, you can teach them to close their eyes and visualize roots coming out of their feet. I mean, some of them might be traumatized, but roots coming out of their feet, going into the grass, through down into like the sand, and like helping them to stay connected to the earth. That goes for us as adults as well. Really, really helps me. So connecting yourself back into earth, even putting your hands in the grass, touching a tree. I know everyone's going to laugh, tree hugger, but it actually really does. There's just so much energy in trees and in the ground. Things like hot drinks, like a hot tea, it also helps to ground you. So it's almost like you can feel, for example, like our nervous systems are shot, like all of us are always running on adrenaline. We're running with everything going on in the world. We're always like feeling unsafe and somewhere else. We almost need to weigh ourselves back down because we're almost getting lifted up and reaching around and getting dragged in all directions. So we need like something to ground us down. So that's why your feet in the grass really helps. Meditations, following your breath, having something hot to drink, it really does anchor you a little bit more. And you kind of, as soon as you have like hot tea or something, as soon as those sips go down, you feel it going down into your body, right? And it's like you feel in your body because you can actually feel where the tea or the coffee or whatever it is going. So it almost brings you back into your body, just like your breath does. So as soon as you focus on your breath when you're breathing, and you're like, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. That's all you have to do to like calm your nervous system and to really focus, is to focus on the breath. And you can just repeat that. Say, I'm breathing in, I am breathing out. That's all you have to do, is to focus on those words and on breathing. And that really does ground you back into the present. So grounding is basically bringing you back into your body and bringing you back into the present moment, because I think we're all living in the next hour, the next day, the next week. So really helps to slow your nervous system down and to allow you to come back into your body and come back into the here and now as well.
That was also really helpful because especially with like when you're talking about drinking something hot, right? Like you can, as you're saying, I'm like, yes, I never really thought of that as being something that's grounding, but you can totally picture as I'm drinking my coffee right now, right? Like I can feel it going down, and all of a sudden you have just like a different sense of calm. So no, that is awesome. And those are all great examples. And that's super helpful. I'm watching my son walk around barefoot right now. And I'm like, yes, okay, we're doing something right this morning, right? Um, so, and I'm sure it's probably individual and things can change with different people, but if someone comes to you, whether it's, women, children, anybody, any age, and they're really just struggling with self-love and even like knowing where to start, do you have somewhere that you start with them, or is it, kind of really just depends?
Yeah. So for the women, or I have a podcast, which is all about self-love. So depending, if someone wants to sign up as a client, then I'll send them resources. Like I have a monthly membership, a self-love club, and I do retreats and workshops and all that stuff. And I also teach beginner yoga and have an online beginner yoga challenge. Besides that, I'll just always send them to my podcast, and I'll say there's so many free episodes there and with guests. And you'll find that when you're listening, when you're listening to a podcast, you start like nodding your head when they ask questions or they say they're going through something. So there's always going to be an episode for someone, or an episode that you need to hear on that day. So I've interviewed a lot of people and I've spoken myself on a lot of the episodes. But what I first suggest is journaling. I know it seems like a chore to a lot of people, but you need to know how you feel. You need to know where you are, where your starting point is, and where you want to be. And the only way you can look back at how far you've come is to see it written down, especially in your handwriting. Like I said before, our mind only believes what we say. So when you read that back, even if you just written like an A5 page now, when you start reading it back, as we tend to do after we've written it, your mind starts believing it because you've written it and it knows that's my handwriting. Oh, I've just said this. So it allows you to really like go through the motions and understand how you're feeling right now. So journaling is super powerful, even if it's just starting off with writing 5 things you're grateful for each day. So gratitude journaling, and then going through that. And also meditation, like I said earlier, 5 minutes a day can make an enormous change in your life. Massive. Like you can clear stuck energy, you can clear negative emotions, and you can move forward with that. So my favorite things are journaling, meditation, and then setting boundaries. Very important for your peace in your mind, your heart, spirit, your immediate family and friends and co-workers, very important. So setting boundaries, and sometimes with ourselves, we are terrible. We enable ourselves. So sometimes we are the ones we need to set the boundaries with. An example, if you really want to work out, and as a trainer, obviously, I have been always focused on how people look, because that's what they came to me for. But now I'm more interested in how you feel on the inside. So the byproduct of that will be how you look on the outside. But I want you to move the energy, not move to lose the weight. That comes as a byproduct. You need to feel good on the inside rather. So you need to move your body. So choosing something, obviously people listen to this will be runners. So if you like running, run. Don't go do CrossFit if you hate CrossFit. Don't go do Zumba if you hate Zumba. And if you love Zumba, you're not going to love CrossFit. So do what you love to move your body and to move it as a gift, and to move the energy and to move it because you can, not because it's a chore. Like, that's why it's a chore, is because you're doing something you hate. So choosing something that you really love and doing that, because you need to move your body so that you're connected to your body, so that you're in your body. When yoga teachers always like, drop into your body, and everyone's like, what do you mean? It's coming back into the present. It's following the breath. It's actually feeling your body. Like, I will know in my body, I can tell you yes or no, and intuition wise, because I listen to my body and I'm so connected to my body. I feel the yes in my body. So you need to be so connected to your body through the movement, and that allows you to get to know your body and to understand your body. So moving your body is really, really key as well. And then negative self-talk is massive. So being kind to yourself, saying positive things, complimenting yourself, because the words that come from other people don't actually matter, to be honest. Your mind doesn't believe them. So you need to compliment yourself. So those are my things. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but literally but I mean, if you can journal for 5 minutes a day, if you can meditate for 5 minutes a day, and even if you exercise for 10 minutes, even if you do some yoga poses or whatever the case is, walking to the shops instead of driving. So even if you can do 30 minutes a day, compliment yourself once in the mirror, then that's perfect. You can do a lot of good in 30 minutes, of a day. So you just need to shift your time, stop scrolling, because we all do that. Get off TikTok or Instagram, and to actually put that time into yourself, and you will feel so many benefits. It'll make a huge difference.
And I love that she pointed out that, it does sound like a lot, but you can, change some tiny things. Like, I know with meditation, you really should probably be present in that moment. But if you're just starting journaling, like, why not journal while you're drinking your coffee in the morning, or why not journal while you're waiting for the coffee to make, or, like you said, walking somewhere instead of driving. So, there are so many small things that we can start with, and then it becomes something, I'm sure, like, you start to feel so different and so much better. So it's like, yes, now instead of just, walking across the parking lot to the shops, I am now going on walks with my dog, or going on walks with the family. So that's super helpful. I think one last thing I wanted to ask you, with, I think sometimes we're way too connected to ourselves and everything else, but I think sometimes we also disconnect a lot, just because, it could be a trauma response, or, just we've learned not to trust our bodies or anything like that. How do you start helping people, like, become cued into paying attention to their bodies again, and, like, knowing how they feel? Because I think, there's so many different reasons why we sometimes don't trust our bodies, or even we're not connected to them anymore.
Yeah. So I think that people that have gone through a massive trauma will obviously need to go to seek counseling and see a therapist, especially one that you feel safe with, and to feel safe and secure with that person. I know I always talk about yoga, but I've only been a convert for a year, so hear me out. I do find that yoga is something that really connects your mind and your body together. It's not like going and smashing out a workout of CrossFit. And I can talk about CrossFit because I used to do it. Not slamming it. I loved it. I think it's amazing and it has its place. Like everything, Pilates, yoga, running, walking, swimming. I've done everything. So everything has its own place. And I honestly think that you could actually, if you could do everything like in a 7-day cycle, you would have the most amazing balance, and your muscles, everything would be balanced, mind, body, and spirit. But I think that you need to connect your mind and your body And the best way to do that is through yoga and meditation. Some people listening will be rolling their eyes because they think it's like some hippie. Yoga is like such a hippie thing. And no, these little white girls. Like, it's not about that. It's actually such an ancient art. I don't know if people know this, but yoga was actually created in order to meditate, in order to be sitting in meditation for like 30 minutes, 3 hours, whatever, back in the ancient times. So it was created to give you stamina, flexibility, and comfort when you're actually meditating. So it was more for your mind. So yoga isn't about like hot yoga, all that. It's not about getting skinny and lengthening. It's actually about stretching your mind and your body so that you can stretch your mind more. So I feel like yoga is the best way to be able to connect with your body, because it's not a competition when you're doing it. When you're in a class, you are doing it for yourself. You are doing the poses for yourself. You are feeling how your body feels in space in that moment. Yoga is a work in, it's not a work out. So it really is going within, and you're connecting with yourself and connecting with your breath in each pose that you're doing. So for me, it is the best form of exercise or movement that can actually get you connected to your body, because you have to keep asking yourself how you feel while you're holding those poses. You have to keep asking, where is my body in space? How does it feel in space? Are my arms right? I'm holding this for 2 more breaths. Okay, I can do this. Like, you are really in your head talking to yourself while you're doing it. So I do think that it is the best way to get into your body. Meditation as well, but you have to do them together. I feel like you can't, if you're trying to get into your body like that and to start understanding your body and to feel your body. And I know it is very complicated going to a class and you're walking into like a vinyasa class. I was there and I'd studied sports science. Like, you would think I would have known what to do. And I found myself just looking around like, I don't understand what I'm doing. Okay, she said do this pose, but how do I do that? So that I actually have now, when I started teaching in like end of last year and October last year, I only focus on beginners because no one is doing it. It actually blows my mind. No one teaches beginner yoga. So I literally teach the poses as if you've never done them before. So I have all the beginners that come to me, learn the poses. Then we start learning how to do the sun salutation. And from there, we build on it every week. Now I'm still cueing them as they go, but they know where to go. Whereas before, it's like, where am I going? And you shouldn't have to look around to see what other people are doing with yoga. You should know. And you should know because you should be taught. When I find there's such a lack of this, and it makes people think that yoga is hard and that they can't do it because it's inaccessible. So that for me is my focus now, is teaching beginner yoga, is to actually make you feel safe. I think it's very important. We all are very insecure when it comes to how people will look at us and judge us and, laugh at us if we can't do something. That's why people don't go to classes. So I think it's important to know that there are things and resources out there if you want to start yoga that are not scary and that can help you. Also, if you want to go to an in-person class, maybe going to a studio near you and speaking to them and saying, listen, I'm beginner. Please don't tell me I'll be fine in the intermediate class. Like, do you do beginner classes? Like, or can I have a one-on-one? Like, just, to go through the poses and teach me. I don't want to just look around. So finding something that is going to allow you to feel safe, to be able to venture into the yoga space, to learn how to connect with your body. And I think with running as well, it's such a mind thing, especially because you're basically by yourself. It's your mind and your thoughts. And a lot of people don't like being by themselves or being with their thoughts. So the meditation and the yoga will help you to connect to your body and to allow you to listen to yourself, as with the journaling as well. It's just to get you out of your head and into your body, which is where you want to be. So that at least when you are running, when you are training, or when you are, if you're doing competitions and things like that, competing, then at least you can stop those negative thoughts and know, you acknowledge them and know, and you can flip them into positives and start using them as a positive and as a weapon, to propel you forward in a positive way, instead of those thoughts holding you back. Sorry, I could go on for hours.
No, that is totally fine. And I love that you brought up the beginner yoga thing, because I think that is a huge block for people, because like you're saying, right, the yoga is such a great way to start. It helps you meditate, all those things, but it is scary. As much as we want to be like, I'm an adult, I can do this. And like, you can do it, but like, you shouldn't have to be put into a space now that you're already feeling uncomfortable just to go do something that you're supposed to be trying to connect and feel better. So I love that you teach that. And also that you brought up that, like, yes, we all feel like that can be intimidating, right? So that is super helpful. Do you have anything else that you want to add that I didn't get to before we are done?
I think that if you have a child who is competing, try not to be those dance moms. I think it's very, kids have so much pressure on them already, and they are going to do well. We have to trust that they are going to do well. They are going to do what is right for them. We can push a little bit, but I think it's important not to try and push so hard that you're breaking their confidence and breaking their spirit. Like if you were a runner at college, that's great, but maybe listen to your child and listen to them and see what are they really telling you. I think it's important. And it's important to equip them the best that you can. And for me, that is through the mind. It's not actually through the body. So helping them with guidance, with mindfulness, and to know exactly who they are. If you can give them the confidence to be exactly who they are, to not have to change themselves for society, for anyone else, I think that's going to give them the confidence that's actually going to make them achieve. It's not going to be, okay, let's keep going around the track 10 more times because you didn't do it properly. It's all about the mind, and how you speak to your kids is so important. And how teachers, I'm also creating a teacher program to help them to understand that their words are very, very important, and they affect kids from 0 to 7. That's when we learn our stories about ourselves and who we are, and we, oh, I'm lazy, oh, I can't concentrate, all those things. So just watch how you speak to your kids, and how you, like, if you berate them after a performance, just watch your language towards them and how you approach them in those situations as well, because it's really important to their self-esteem.
Thank you so much. That was like the perfect way to wrap it up, because that's really kind of everything that and I'm trying to get across in the podcast. So thank you so, so much. And I will make sure that I link your podcast for anybody who wants to check that out. And then also your website. Is there anything else, like any other way that we can find you if anybody wants to do, reach you for some help with all of the things?
Yeah, so I'm very active on Instagram, to my detriment. It's Unselfishly Me. So my website is also unselfishlyme.com. And what I'll do is I'll give you a 10% off code if anyone wants to do that online. I've got a beginner yoga challenge that I actually created. It's all videos and things like that. So I'll give a 10% off code to you, and then you can pop it in the show notes for anyone who wants to sign up. You'll have to deal with my South African accent, but it's a really beautiful visual behind me of a lake.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate all of the time you took today and all of your helpful insights and all the resources that you are now providing all of us with. So thank you so, so much.
Thanks for having me.
So I just want to say thank you again to Jane for all of her great advice, tips, resources. I mean, she really supplied us with lots of awesome things, from talking about some apps that she can use, some advice on even for us to manage social media and helping with our mindset. And she also is giving us a discount for her beginner yoga challenge. So that will be in the notes as well. I've linked all of her social medias and again her podcast, because she did mention that that is a great resource for people who are struggling with their mindset and other things like that. And there should be any kind of resource in there that you can find. So be sure to check that out as well. And also her website will be in the notes too. So she gave us lots of great stuff to check out, in addition to all the awesome things we talked about today. So thank you again, and hopefully we'll get to talk to her again. Thank you for tuning into Raising Runners. New episodes every Tuesday, and we are always looking to talk to people about running, mental health, or anything along the spectrum that can help our young athletes, or just talking to runners or parents and coaches of our young runners as well. Hopefully you find our resources helpful. If you have questions, comments, or anything else, feel free to email me at marikeyrunclub@gmail.com.